Hey everyone, welcome back to Super Buddies Forever, part 4 of our SBF series on the beach cottage. This is a little bit better than where we left off. This time we're going to concentrate on doing the floors and making them permanent so they don't do that. I only had one coat on last you've seen, and now we're up to about 2 and 3. Sometimes these paints can be just a pain in the butt and need more. So I definitely need one more coat. I changed my mind over here and I did paint prime, put some caulking in there, there's Grace, and paint that with some ideas and furniture things that are coming along. I thought it might be too covered over there and not see enough of this beautiful color, and then therefore I did paint that green. The orange is looking great. I got a little bit of gray going on the edges of this for the floors. That's going to be more of a brown, and this will be gray, so when it sets on that base, we will see, well, it'll get a little match to it and kind of meld better. On the outside is, I think, where we're seeing the most changes. I am super duper happy. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. I can't believe how much fun this is, especially if you like Cape Cod styles. On that, I mentioned that trim. I went out today to the store and got it, so that's the look we're getting.
And this is actually black, not that green looking stuff you see on camera.
It's charcoal. It's the same stuff that's on the big house. I've now put far more many coats on here and got that going. And this little trim part I did just with a Sharpie, as careful as I can. I definitely have more touch-ups to do, and I save all that till later, because by the time I flip this around, then it takes a whole lot more. There's some nasty, needs some little touch-ups. It'll take some bumps and bruises as I flip it around, so I'm not too worried. I always do my touch-ups later. But you can see that is definitely an improvement. I think that took me about 4 coats with that gray. This paint was nice, a Delta kind that they don't make anymore. That covered fabulously. Got the door taped shut for when I flip it on its side. Right here is where I'm going to first stick some silicone and squeeze that together, taped from underneath to give it some support. Definitely, let's back up. The lighting's not as great there. Sorry. But you get a look. Definitely looks neat. And what took me so long, and where I'm having some fun and still have some touch-ups to do, is wanting to make this porch look dramatic and very colorful. As you can see, that is where I've been going with it. I did put a little touch of the big house color there, just a little bit, and those other colors. So we kind of went with a dull scarlet look, or pastel, and I'm very, very happy with the results. What do you think?
Please tell me down below.
They'll tell me. And again, I just used paint here, the acrylic paint there, and then over here is just Sharpie. Very careful. These parts were just as is. I did not put primer on that. Kept it the white it was. So I just was very careful with a broad stroked Sharpie. And that's how it's looking over here. So let's get on with making this thing permanently open. Just as a matter of reference, there's some of that primer that's on the plastic, the 123 Bullseye's insert product. And I just want to show you how good it works on the plastic. I can use my nail and I can get it off. But as you see, I am scratching very hard and it does come off. But that is taking quite a bit of abuse. So if that helps anybody to know, especially someone named Jordan I was just discussing with, that's how good it works. So you have a base and foundation of that, you're going to do pretty good with your acrylic paints. Over here to glue this, you know, of course, if you have this piece, you don't have to do it. It's just a preference I have. I'm using silicone. Let's get Gracie in good order. Now remember, if you use silicone is not paintable. So you do not want to use silicone anywhere that you will be, not so close baby, it's not close up. Anywhere that you don't want to not be painted because silicone is notorious for the paint retracting. So I'm just going to use some tape. I'm going to pull this together and support it to give me some support until I flip it over and start siliconing in there. Okay. All right, I did say silicone. I should have said caulk, because if caulk spreads through, I can't paint it. So what I'm doing up here, I got to be a little more careful because I'm keeping the ceiling as it is, the cream color. So only where I see it touches in the hinges, I'm just going to stick some silicone in there.
Or caulking?
Caulking, yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very big difference in those two products, so I don't want to mess them up. So here we are, we're going permanent. Oh wait, let me get a little over here. Just for extra support, doesn't hurt.
There's my finger.
Here, go up some, I can see. So now that's it. I'll give a look underneath, and I can see I got a little squirting out.
Oh.
That was it, pretty good.
It's white, but it will go clear, right?
Yep, so I got that cleaned up. So now I've already done it on the bottom one. And all I'm going to do is, let me see if I can get a better angle. I'm going to fill these, and I'm just going to be very thick. And basically what I'm doing is jamming all those hinges.
Doesn't it take longer to dry?
It does take a while to dry. That's
No,
why I'm doing.
longer if it's more thick.
Yeah, it's usually 24 hours it's done. So you get the picture. I'm going to, especially my goal is first round is to jam up all those hinges so it doesn't work. They don't work and they got glue in them or caulking, and it'll mess it up and keep it permanent. Then later I can go back through and level that out as best I can. I was going to do paper mache. I'm still undecided between a little layer of paper mache or do a texture with caulking. So that's one part. I'm obviously going to repeat that process for all of them, and then I got my hinge right up here. So I'm going to start working on that too. Since I've got that bottom silicone, it's supported there.
Caulking.
No, the bottom one is silicone.
Oh.
With the tape. So all these spots.
So when you did it in between, like here,
Uh-huh.
you use silicone?
I use silicone. That's stronger. That is stronger. But it's unpaintable. This is paintable. So in all these areas I'm spending time, they are not going to move. And I'll go down here and in there and all there. I expect, because it does sink, it's probably going to take at least 3 coats to get it where I want. And I'll go on the side. So I will also go in here and get all that filled up. Quite a chore, but what I like is it sure makes it look much more real and without that toy look. If you've looked at Blood Goods house quickly on the big video, you'll see what I'm talking about. That one will be coming soon in the video for me to give you close-ups of that. Okay. Just finishing up filling some of these little dimples that were in the floor with the caulking, so they'll be level with the other parts of the floor. Similar to the beach house series when we filled up the Barbie head and the kayak, or the beach series. So that's done. I've filled all the dimples. Got our first coat in every little cranny. If you kind of look at it, you can see without that crack, it's an eye trick, and those rooms are looking bigger already instead of having the cardboard piece, whoops, stuck my finger in that, and it looking separated. I'm now seeing the desired look I wanted of it being a whole floor. I've stuck a lot of caulk in there. As I said, the first coat was mostly to jam all these hinges and make it all set nice and sturdy. I've got our favorite primer. This company needs to know about me. Holding as a weight down because this piece was lifting up a little bit. And obviously now you can see why I ended my paint there, so I know which way I'm going to go next. The goal is to get these much more secure, which they already kind of are. And all the floors are done like that. Every little nook and cranny had to go to the floor so it would be level and dry level. All those dimples are filled out. Got our first coat all going everywhere. Like I said, take about 3 coats. And I remembered why I was talking about paper mache. As I was doing this, I was wondering why. And it wasn't for texture, it was because I want to build a little bridge here and make that all one floor. So that's going to be where my paper mache definitely comes in, the rest of the floor. I don't know, and before I forget, while we're at this point, I will do a shout out to Miss Gabriella Fantasy. Thank you very much. I love all your comments. You are a joy, as well as a lot of the people I enjoy chatting with through this project. Thanks for being a part of it. Now that I'm using more of my caulking and it's getting smaller, it's just like a toothpaste. Great tip I've mentioned before. Put the tape around it as you're folding it up so your caulking stays at the top. It has about the consistency of toothpaste, if you're wondering. That makes it always easy to get to, and you don't have to keep pushing it all forward. Little tidbit if you didn't notice, we save and recycle caps. Bottle caps and water caps, and use them as palettes, which are really awesome when you're up here and you're painting something. This is really easy to hold in your hand. That's an awesome little thing we do. I put the trim on here with glue gun, obviously, and I had to do that first because now that it's all sealed together, I had to make sure that was done. Over here, when you have edges of a fancy trim, this one, by the way, I think was $1.99 a yard at Joann's, and I think I got 2.5 yards, so a very inexpensive fine detail. Where you got some glue coming out, we got this puffy paint, and I mention this a lot. It's dimensional fabric paint. Think outside the box with this stuff. This stuff fixes, does, and just makes everything great. So you know when the ends of the fancy ones, they can kind of frill out. Even with pillows, I've used this a lot on pillows, gold especially, and they look crappy when you pull them together. Just get some fabric paint and just put a little on your edge, and that will dry, that will seal it so it won't fray, and it will make it look so much more finished. Make it a little more over there. Hide that glue. Hides glue. It's good for putting around frames. It becomes fill in for threshold or whatever. There's so much you can do with puffy paint. That's the opposite of using it on fabric. Because if you're using it on frames to trim them out and make it look fancy, or your cutting's not good, it hides a multitude of sins. I guess that's the way to say it. So I definitely highly recommend this product for any kind of building and projects because it comes in handy for everything. And it's fairly inexpensive. I think these large ones are about $3.99. I've hardly used any of this particular color, but I've had this for quite a few years. I hope that comes in handy for you. It is now 24 hours later of letting layers of caulk and letting them dry. I am super pleased with the results. I'm going to have to end this one on this section and start a new one for the finishing of the floor simply because I need a little more time for it to dry. I've done this bridge here with cardboard. You've seen the picture, the little skeleton thing happening there, and that's going to hold up the weight of the paper mache I do to really give that some strength because cardboard and caulking is not going to do it. So that's a base. And that is going to need to dry thoroughly for a day. It's still soft. And then the paper mache is going to take a day or two to dry before I can paint it and texture the floor. I don't want you to wait that long. You can see these hinges are looking, I did one base coat of primer on it just to get coverage for one, and mostly so I can see what has happened with my hinge layers. And if I got any obvious cracks or sinking that needs to be fixed, I know right here I forgot to put some in those cracks there, so I'll fix those. And otherwise, you can see that's just needs a little bit more thickness to it. But these are looking really good. Those are sunk a little bit, so they need just a little bit more caulk. Plus the texture is going to fill it in. It's looking really good. Remember before I cut that off and caulked it? It sticks out a little bit, but it works. Otherwise, these are super duper happy with them. It definitely looks more like a built house instead of a plastic toy. By the time I think I'm going to paint that a brown to kind of make it look like a wood column. I've got the colors, the browns picked out for each room and area, and don't forget in that beach we have that piece of scrapbook paper that'll fit in here and kind of flow in like a weird old linoleum. That's where I'm at now. Every little crack is definitely full. We shall see you next time. Oh, and this paint that I really like, it's old. Having not been at Joann's, they sell it, but in a new design. I think I'll be going there for paint from now on. Thank you very much, Super Buddies Forever family, for all your support and watching these shows or videos, and especially keeping up with this series. Those of you who are really bring some happiness to me to know I get to share it. Oh, and the dimples. The dimples. Let's see. Dimples. Dimples are really covered well. Everywhere those did really, really good, so we won't have these dimples in the middle of the floor. Okay, see you next time. Have a good night. Good luck in your crafting ventures.